Let's see. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The fact that October is right around the corner. Hello friends, welcome to another video. If you are new to watching, my name is Crystal. If you are not new to watching, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you for being here in my little corner of YouTube. I post all of the bookish content here on my YouTube channel, reading vlogs, book reviews, book hauls, book favorites. So if you are a reader and you love reading as much as I do, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Y'all, October is my favorite month of the year. Really October, November, December, those are my months. I just love them so much. I am in like the best mood in the fall and winter. I am a lover of all things spooky. I love scary movies, scary books, haunted houses, paranormal shows, horror movies, like give it all to me. So I thought it would be fun to put together a video of all of my favorite books that I think would be perfect to read during spooky season, which to me is all of October. So if you are looking for some good spooky season reads, this is gonna be the video for you. Also, can we talk about my shirt? Look at my shirt. I will link this down in the description if you're interested in it. This is my entire personality right here. And I don't know, this may be like a little bit of foreshadowing for a book that I might talk about in today's video. I don't know. The first book that I think would be perfect to read during spooky season is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. This book is everything. Every time someone asks me for a good spooky book recommendation, I will 10 out of 10 times recommend this book. I would consider this book a thriller with a little bit of horror undertones. I know a lot of people label this book as horror, but in my opinion, I wouldn't consider this horror. I would consider this more of like a paranormal thriller. Does this cover not make you want to read this book immediately? This book is about Mallory, who comes to work for a family as the babysitter for their son, Teddy. Everything is going well, and then Teddy starts drawing these very weird and disturbing pictures. And Mallory becomes concerned because the types of pictures that Teddy is drawing are not pictures that a child would typically draw. And then as the days go on, Teddy's drawings become a lot more intricate and a lot more detailed. And she's like, there's no way that Teddy is drawing this. He's a child, and these drawings are way too advanced for his age. So then Mallory starts to suspect that these drawings are glimpses from a murder that happened years ago, perhaps being relayed to her through a supernatural force. Now, none of those are spoilers. All of that is in the synopsis of the book. So just know that I won't be doing any spoilers in this video. One of the things that I love the most about this book is that there are actual pictures of Teddy's drawings within the pages of this book. So I'm going to show you one. So this is an example of one of Teddy's drawings. So as you can see, this is very normal for a 5-year-old child. There are pictures like this throughout the entire book, and these pictures really contribute to the overall vibe of the whole story. So I really love that Jason Rekulak included the drawings throughout the entire book. So absolutely love this. If you have not read it, this is the perfect book to read during spooky season. The next book I want to talk about is All Hallows Eve by Michael Penning. This book is the epitome of a book that you would read during October. This book is not only set in the month of October, but it is also set in Salem, Massachusetts, which is like the Halloween capital of the world. It is also set 100 years after the Salem witch trials. So this book has a very historical setting to it. It also has a very heavy paranormal theme. This book is about Alice, whose husband goes missing while he's investigating a series of strange events that are happening in Salem. So of course, Alice sets off to Salem to go search for him, and she brings her daughter with her. Alice learns of a terrible prophecy that happened in Salem that has the entire town terrified of nightfall. 100 years after being hanged for witchcraft, the vengeful spirit of Rebecca Hale will rise from hell on All Hallows Eve to claim the souls of Salem's children. While Alice is in Salem, her daughter also goes missing. So this book is basically about her quest to finding her. Michael Penning is an independent author, and I am just absolutely obsessed with his writing. I have read 2 books by him, and both of them were incredible. His writing just makes you feel like you are literally living within the pages of his books. I personally just don't know how his books aren't more popular, because they definitely deserve to be. So All Hallows Eve by Michael Penning, absolutely read this. in October. It is the perfect October read. My next spooky season book recommendation is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This book is about Maggie, who when she was a child, her and her parents ended up moving to Baneberry Hall, which is like just like this big, just a big creepy house. That's the only way for me to describe it. And a lot of just really strange things started happening in this house, which caused them to literally just up and leave the house 3 weeks after they moved in. Maggie's father ends up writing a book about all of the encounters and all of the creepy things that were happening in the home while they lived there. Now, fast forward to many, many years later, and Maggie inherits Baneberry Hall. She returns to the house to restore it. She starts experiencing things that are literally straight from her father's book. So lots of creepy, unnerving things began happening in this home. Now, this book had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. I think I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. There's also a really big twist at the end that I wasn't expecting, which I love. So if you are someone who likes anything paranormal and you like a big, creepy, kind of haunted house type of setting, then I think that you will really, really enjoy this one. Next up, we have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I would say that technically this is a horror book, but I would consider this more lighthearted horror. So if you are someone who has never read a horror book before and you're wanting to sort of dabble into the genre, I think this would be a really good place to start, because yes, there are some creepy things and there are some pretty graphic scenes in this book. I would say that the undertone is very lighthearted because there's a lot of dry humor in this as well. But basically this book is about a group of girls who are all really close friends. One of the girls starts acting very strangely, and there's a lot of things that she's doing that her friends are like, something's not right. Like, this is not her. Her best friend specifically is very concerned about this. And then the other girls in their group begin doing really weird things as well. So Abby, who is one of the main characters, she starts kind of investigating, I guess. She starts kind of digging into what the heck is going on with her friends, and she reaches some startling discoveries. But I really enjoyed reading this book. I really loved the characters. I really liked the writing. It is so different from anything that I've ever read. So I would say if you're looking for a good spooky season read, but something that isn't too scary, then I would say that you would really enjoy this one. Next up, we have The Girls in the Cabin by Caleb Stevens. So this book is so freaking good. This book is about Chris, who is taking his daughters on a camping trip, and they have to sort of hike through the mountains in order to get to their camping destination. Well, one of his daughters gets injured, so they are trying to find help and seek shelter. Well, they end up stumbling across this cabin in the woods. Once they get inside this cabin and they think that they are safe, things start happening that they never would have expected. If you are someone who likes dark cabin in the woods types of settings, the weather is dark and cold, this is the perfect book to just cozy up and read on a dark, stormy night in October. Oh my God, the vibes are just immaculate. This is one of those books that I will always recommend to someone who loves thrillers because I just want everyone to read it. It is just so good. All right, next up we have House of Shadows by Darcy Coates. The way that I would describe this book would be like a historical gothic horror. I've never read anything like this before. This book is so unique and so different. It has a very heavy paranormal theme to it. If you like anything paranormal like I do, you must read this. I'm begging you to read this. One of my friends on Instagram, Hannah, she actually introduced me to this book. This is the first Darcy Coates book I had ever read, and oh my God, I was just enthralled in this story. It is dark, it is scary, it's set in a big gothic mansion. The paranormal scenes in this book are creepy. There's also a little bit of a romance undertone to this book as well. There's a little bit of a love story connected to this. Okay, let me tell you what the book is about. So this book is about Sophie, whose world is completely shattered when her family goes bankrupt. A very wealthy stranger comes along into her life, Mr. Argenton, and he has asked for her hand in marriage. And this is set in a time where arranged marriages were a thing, you know? I honestly don't know the exact year. That's why I said historical, because it's not set in today's time. But marrying Mr. Argenton will save her family, but it will basically condemn her to a life that she doesn't necessarily want. Now, when Mr. Argenton takes her home, the house that they drive up to is just a big, dark, very creepy, scary mansion, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And then that's when all the creepiness starts happening. Doors are slamming, the piano in the house is playing by itself. She is hearing all types of things around the house. Basically, she realizes that the house is haunted. But this is the absolute perfect book to read this time of year. It is spooky, it is dark. It has a little bit of like a gothic undertone as well, which I just loved. So this is another one that I feel is just absolutely perfect to read this time of year. Okay, this next book is an absolute classic, none other than It by Stephen King. Hello. Listen, this is like the ultimate horror book. If you have never read Stephen King, obviously he's a legend, right? He's one of the best authors of all time. He is the king of horror. If you have not read one of his books, now is the time. Now, let me tell you, this book is really long, okay? This is the longest book that I have ever read. 1,090 pages. And these pages are literally like Bible pages. I mean, look at the font. It's tiny. So yes, this is a commitment, okay? But let me tell you, it is absolutely worth it. His writing is just, he has a very advanced writing style, at least in this book. But this book, of course, if you have no idea what it is, which I don't know that anyone doesn't know what it is. This is a classic book. Of course, one of the main characters in this book is Pennywise. It's a small city, a place as hauntingly familiar as your own hometown. Only in Derry, the haunting is real. They were just kids when they first stumbled upon the horror. Now they are grown-up men and women who have gone out into the big world to gain success and happiness, but none of them can withstand the force that has drawn them back to Derry to face the nightmare without an end and the evil without a name. I also believe that there's a show coming out on HBO. I think it's called Welcome to Derry or something like that from what I've heard. I can't freaking wait. I can't wait. The movies are so good. The book is incredible. The newer It movies, I feel like follow the book a lot more closely than the original It movie did. Again, I know that this is a commitment to read this, but I promise you it is 100% worth it. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is Horror Hotel, and this is by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. This is a young adult horror. I really enjoyed this book. I would say that the writing is written very young adult. It is a very simple type of writing. You're not going to get any type of like lyrical masterpiece in this book, but that's really not the point of it. It is super entertaining and I really enjoyed it. This book is basically about a group of YouTubers who have a paranormal YouTube channel, and there's a hotel in LA that has a very dark history. So they go to this hotel because they want to do an investigation for their YouTube channel. When they get to the hotel, they start their investigation and they go to a room of a former serial killer. And in that room, they end up finding something very unexpected. They quickly realize that they are in over their heads in this investigation. And that's when the story just kind of starts unraveling from there. But as someone who loves watching paranormal YouTube videos, I just ate this book up, and it's kind of similar to a true crime documentary mixed with a paranormal ghost hunting video. Put that in book form, and that is what this is. Also, this book is loosely based on the Elisa Lam story. So if you're a true crime junkie and you're into the true crime world, then you've probably heard of the Elisa Lam case. If you haven't, look it up, because it's one of the true crime cases that will always just like have me questioning what really happened. So if you're someone who's like me and you like all things paranormal, you love true crime, you like YouTube ghost hunting channels, I think you'd really enjoy this one. Okay, I have 3 more books to talk about, but I'm actually going to talk about these books together because they are part of a series. And that is the Cat and Mouse series by H.D. Carlton. The little novella that is part of this series is called Satan's Affair, and this is the book that you should read before you dive into the 2 main books in this series. So we have Satan's Affair first, then Haunting Adeline is book 1, and Hunting Adeline is book 2. This series is dark romance, and when I say dark, I mean really dark, okay? These books are not for the faint of heart. They have lots of very dark and triggering content. These books are not for everyone, but they were absolutely for me. I don't want to say too much about this series because I do think that it's a really good experience if you go into these books kind of blind, in my opinion. If you're more of a sensitive reader and you are someone who needs to look up trigger warnings before you read dark romance, then you absolutely need to do that with these. I am really not triggered by much, so I went to these books completely blind, and I am personally glad that I did. I had a really good experience, but that was just my personal experience. I did know that they were dark. I did know that they were going to be disturbing and graphic. I also knew that it had to do with a stalker, and that's really all that I knew. But without saying too much, these books are about Adeline and Zaid. Zaid is basically obsessed and infatuated with Adeline. He stalks her. Adeline is terrified, but she also kind of like enjoys the thrill of it. And these books are about their story. Obviously there's a lot of other things that happen, but I don't want to spoil it. I feel like if I say what the theme is, it'll kind of spoil the storyline, and I don't want to do that. Again, these books are very dark. They have some really disturbing and very graphic scenes. These books are very spicy, and the spice in these books is very different than anything I've ever read. They're a little bit taboo. The reason why I think that these books would be good to read during spooky season is because they do have a pretty creepy undertone to them, especially book 1, Haunting Adeline. This book was pretty creepy, and I actually didn't expect the creepiness that I got in this, but I was very pleasantly surprised by that. The house that Adeline lives in has a little bit of a gothic type of vibe to it. There's also a little bit of a paranormal undertone to these books as well, which I was not expecting, and I really loved that. And then in Satan's Affair, this takes place in a haunted house. And then, like I said, it is about a stalker. So Adeline has a stalker. There are scenes in here where she's like being watched and stuff. It's just very creepy. So if you are a lover of dark romance, I would a million percent recommend these books. But again, they are not for everyone. They are dark, they are graphic, they are disturbing. There are some very triggering topics in these books, especially in book 2. There are some scenes in here that are very hard to read. So just know that going in. If you are a sensitive reader, I am telling you again, check the triggers if you need to. Don't go into these thinking it's just like a typical dark romance. All right, y'all. Here they all are. These are my top recommendations for books that I think would be perfect to read during spooky season, during October, during Halloween time. If you're wanting to get into the Halloween spirit, if you're wanting to get into spooky mode, scary mode, these books are going to be for you. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I hope you found some new books to add to your spooky season TBR. This is my absolute favorite time of year for reading. I wish you guys a really good October. Hopefully y'all read some amazing books. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that I post in the future. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.